Needs doors now. Well, we need some stock first. We need to get a true edge for the table saw. And you can trust me because I'm wearing plaid. So that's it planed to rough width. Now I'm going to rip it to thickness. Now we can get them to final thickness. I'll just get these cut closer to the finished length. Still over length though, just to make them easier to work with. Now we've got all the knots epoxy filled, our pieces selected, and that was the worst one. There and there. Well, we've got everything marked to where they go. Now I've got all my pieces set up at the side I want the groove down. Normally I'd use the dado stack, but I'll just use a normal blade and we'll do it in a few passes. One way, and then flip it around to center it, and then we'll take a third pass to clean up the middle. So we'll do all the outside ones first. So I figured out the length of my top and bottom rails for the final length and fidgeted around and got my tenoning jig set up. My blade is set at the same height because that's the same depth that the tenon is, or that the groove is rather. And we'll give them a cut. Spacer block to stop things from pinching. Adjust the blade. We'll get those shoulders cut. Just a little bit of cleanup there. And we can see how we did. Out bottom number 2. Number 1. Number 2. Left. Oh, it's nice and tight. Well, they fit together pretty well. Not too bad. I've still got the styles a little bit over length. The only problem is, for a 32-inch opening, I've got 32 and a quarter. So I've got to take an 1/8 inch off of each one of these rails. No big deal, a little mistake. It's a lot easier to take more off than try to add some on. And that's almost perfect. Our panels are too narrow, which was a shame, but we've got a plan B. Got that much. We got a whole bunch of offcuts, shorts from the wood stash. I mean, after all, the material literally grows on trees. So we'll go to plan B. So we're just going to skip plane these, try to get a smooth side on them. Oh, we took our flat stock, cut it into 3-inch strips, and we got all of our thick stuff cut into whatever it is, but they're all the same. Tall fence set about 3/8, just a fat 3/8. I've got a 1/4 inch slot I want to fill, and I need room to plane it down. Well, I got some big pieces and now there are a whole bunch of little pieces. I think I got enough there. A few pieces that didn't quite make the grade, and the pieces that I cut into 3 inches I don't think I'll need at all. Now, we'll get all these down to a 1/4 inch. And I've got myself an offcut from the door frame that has the groove in that I'll use as a gauge block. Well, I've got the blade sticking about 1/4 of an inch out from the fence and about half the thickness of the material, and we're going to make shiplap. So, I think, randomly, that will make a panel that is just fine. Well, I've got a stack of shiplap all over length. So my final length comes out to 17.5. So I'm going to cut them about 17 3/8 to leave a little bit of wiggle room. Trim one end up to the stop block and repeat a whole bunch of times. Well, because a lot of this is going to be hidden inside of a groove, I'm going to indulge in everybody's favorite pastime. Give them a sand down, and we're going to finish them before assembly, and that includes breaking that edge on the overlap part. Well, it's cedar, so it isn't too bad to sand. Still a tedious job though. We've had to put the heat on in the shop. So, I've got all my slats finished, and on 2 of them I had to take a wee little rip off of it so they fit into the door panel. That's what our door is kind of going to look like. I had to adjust the shoulders by about, maybe a 32nd of an inch because my doors are too wide. So now I think I'm just about ready to glue up. And the panels don't rattle in there, but there's still a lot of room with the shiplap for them to move around for expansion and contraction. We're still in a fairly humid part of the year, so I'm not too worried about expansion, but it does have a little bit of play in there. And there you can see how much room I've got, almost a whole shiplap worth. Oh, that'll give it lots of room. Oh, that was stressful enough. But they're glued together. I had to turn the heat off. I was working up a sweat. That one I had to pull a little bit into square, but I think we're all right. 2 doors. Well, we're out of the clamps. Gave it a very quick preliminary sanding, and then we'll get it on the sled and trim off the little ends. We're all trimmed and sanded up. We can do this thing again. Well, we've got the heater hissing in the background. Another cool day. But time for some finishing. Finishing the finishing. water-based polyurethane. We'll wipe that off. And we're going to make it wipe on poly. And I'm not measuring. I'll just add about 25% or so of Floetrol. And keep the stick handy because we'll have to keep mixing it. And I'm wiping on because it's less chance of dripping this way. And we'll do several light coats. Probably about 4 or 5 of them. It took me forever to find hinges. I didn't want these exactly, but they'll work. At least they're oil bronze, which is what I was looking for. So, and they're a non-mortise hinge. And we've got to figure out exactly where we're going to put them. I wanted actually a butterfly hinge that overlaid on each side. But these will work. So I think I'm going to settle on 3.5 inches in. I'm going to get the first one secured there before we do the second. And the only screws I have on hand are bright brass, so they're going to have to do. Just need some door closers on it now. Just hold it closed. Finally, another job done.